you were there?
It's awesome every year.
How many
You
times have
know,
you gone?
this is my 13, 14, 15, 16, fourth year.
Damn.
Yeah,
I haven't been yet. Next year is hopefully the time. That's
yeah,
that's what I'm hoping for, and hopefully it'll be pretty big one.
it'll be awesome. I
It's
was
always
thinking
fun.
about it. One of the things that I've always done is a lot of people will do is they'll tag their friends. They'll do a big tweet and they'll be like, hey, it was good seeing you again. Excited hanging out. If you meet someone new, you tweet them, be like, hey, it was great meeting you. Things like
Sure.
that. And it's kind of gotten to the point now where I just there's too many people that I've met multiple times that I've started to get close with that it's like it's kind of obnoxious actually to tweet
Right.
them all. So, and I guess that's a good place to be. Before it was like, hey guys, just I know we only get to see each other 4 times a year, so I want to call it out and say, hey, I
Right.
love you. And now it's there's a ton of them. So it's really nice to BlizzCon's kind of that culmination of the whole year for both the esports side of things, for the gaming side of Blizzard Entertainment, and then at the same time for this group of friends. Because you think about it, most of these people that I'm hanging with have focused their world around StarCraft. And so this is where we're coming together to celebrate the global finals
Right.
and to kind of celebrate each other. There's a community event that happens the first night of before Thursday night before BlizzCon,
Hmm.
and it's just a night of drinking and socializing. And oh my God, I haven't seen you in forever's.
Right. Right.
And and it's great. It really is. It's that is my favorite night of the year. I think it's probably one of the most emotionally charged because it's the largest conglomerate of this group of people because everyone saves their time, their money, etc. to go to BlizzCon. Yeah, we try
Right.
to go to DreamHack when we can. Some people travel overseas when they can, but everyone tries to go to BlizzCon.
Yeah, it's like the biggest. It's like the biggest and the best. Like there's so many
Hmm.
people there, and like I don't know. Like usually if there's news, like that's where it's gonna be at too. Like, if we're gonna hear something, like get a bomb dropped on us, it's gonna be there. So that's where
Yep.
like that's like the in place to be for any news really. You
Yeah,
know.
it's exciting. I mean, the first, if you're honest to God, if you're looking for the big, truly big news, you'd try to find a way to sneak into BlizzCon, sit through the hour and a half opening
Oh yeah.
ceremony, get all the big announcements. That's where Overwatch was announced. That's where Legacy of the Void was announced. I believe that's where StarCraft 2 was first announced.
Yeah.
So all those exciting things come from the BlizzCon opening ceremony, and then you go in off and you get details. This year they talked about Diablo, and they're bringing back the
Necromancer.
the Necromancer.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's cool.
Necromancer is all I played
Yeah,
in
me too.
Diablo
That was
2.
my favorite character, dude, doing like the body explosion or the bone explosion, and then just raising
Mhm.
this huge, like undead army, like the bone golems and stuff. Like yeah, like that was the shit. Like that's where it was at.
Max leveling poison, and then
Yeah,
Bone Spear just you
yeah,
see it tick, lag for a second at 1%, and then the thing is dead.
yeah.
Yeah, Necromancer was the bomb.com.
I've heard that they're actually not making that like a full time thing though. Is that right? Is that what was that right? Like I heard it was only during like this time of the year, like every year they're gonna have
No,
it. Or is that just the
only
Citadel?
that is just for the Citadel. That's
Okay,
just for the Diablo 1 remake. So
okay,
yeah, we're still getting the
yeah,
that'd be a little bit of a tease if they just
right.
gave us that. And that'd be a lot of work for them too.
Like
So
that's gonna bring me
no,
back to the game, to be honest. Like I don't even have Reaper Souls yet, but I'm like, all right, I'm gonna get it just so I can play my Necromancer. Like I'm excited
mm,
just for that now.
thank you for reminding me. I'm gonna go ahead and start installing that after this phone call.
Perfect. Yeah, we need to get that ready. I don't know. I'm a fan of like most Blizzard games in general. I feel like they have like just like the best lineup in general for the most part. Like they have like the best and most successful MMO. Like I've never been like a fan of WoW, but like I don't know. It's just
Uh,
I'm just not like this is not my type of game. I guess you could say like I'm not
mhm.
really like a big like I love like role playing games, but more like single player like Skyrim or like Oblivion especially. Like I like to just be able to do my own thing. Like when it comes to those type of games, like I like to explore like the story. Like I'll take a great storyline over like PvP pretty much any day for those kind of games. But still, I know that it's like one of the best. Like they have a huge following. Whatever. They have the RTS, like the only one.
Mhm.
Hearthstone is pretty much the only thing that's ever made a dent in Magic the Gathering. For for how big and how strong Magic has been over. Like my older brother, who's like 35, was playing Magic when he was like 12, right? So I
Yep.
mean, that's like Magic has been around for just fucking ever, and it seemed like it hit like a kind of like a renaissance like within like the last couple of years too. Like it seems like they've had like a lot of like revival with that. Like I got into it for a little bit because my buddies were, you know.
Yeah.
But then Hearthstone, it's like, okay, well, we're coming into the card world. We're making it all online, making it super fun and super easy to play, you know. And then it just goes on Diablo, you know, as, you know, an RPG that you can play alone or you can play with others, you know, giving you good options, you know, good story, you know. And then now Overwatch with a shooter.
Oh yeah, and one thing they're doing really well is they're tying it all together, right? They're giving you incentive to play each. So they're giving you sprays in the different games. They're giving you skins in the different games.
Yeah.
I think one of the things is there's a Genji skin you can get if you play in Heroes of the Storm, and so I'm actually going to be installing Heroes of the Storm again. It's a game that, from what I've heard, by the way, is that there have been a lot of improvements to Heroes of the Storm as it's grown as an esport, as it's grown as just a game loved by the community.
Well, that's what I understand is like they're not having a problem with it like as far as like casual community goes. Like it's doing just fine, but it was like the competitive side that really needed like some help. Where it's like, hey, we just need to like buff it, like help it out. Like we need to like get some more incentives, you know, some more. You know, and like what they announced, like for like whatever, I can't remember what what they're calling the circuit, but the way they announced that, it sounds pretty awesome. Like each week, they're literally having like the best of the best playing it out, like for like by region. So it's like, well, that's a really cool idea, you know, keeping it fresh and keeping up with your content. You know, like I wish there was like a GSL every weekend, like that would be awesome. I wouldn't complain.
Yeah, it's exciting, and you know the GSL every weekend might be a little overkill, but maybe once a quarter, perhaps. You know, if we had 4 GSLs a year, kind of thing.
Oh, I suppose we'll talk about that here in a little bit. I think that's something that they should actually just start looking at doing. You know, obviously with the closing of Pro League, which we'll talk about. Also, I thought that would be super cool if they brought back GSTL. Like I would love that. I loved the old GSTL when that was around.
You know, that kind of ended as I was getting into the scene.
Okay.
I don't know, when was the last one of that? Was it late 2013, early 2000?
Something like that, yeah. Like it was like right when it was like right when GOM closed down. It was pretty much the end.
Yeah,
and like Afrika took over.
Okay, then that would have been 2015, I believe.
I take that back. When did it would have been whenever Pro League started? Because Pro League started when GOM TV was still going, so it would have been whenever Pro League would have started. Yeah, that's because I think they had like a season where it was kind of like both of them were going, but like it wasn't like, I don't know, like it didn't like it wasn't like working for like viewership.
Yeah, because in 2013 I remember seeing Total Biscuit at Red Bull Battlegrounds, and it was the morning, the first day of, maybe the second day of, and he was kind of nervous and pacing around because his team, was Axiom Acer, where they were competing.
Yeah,
and awesome. He was, and they won, which was very awesome. So yeah. I never really got to experience it, though, with a better understanding of StarCraft. That was in my earlier time of just coming into the scene and still kind of getting my feet wet, starting to actually understand the game better. Yeah. Understand the scene, what goes on in it.
Yeah, and it's, for the most part, it's a pretty good scene. Like I think like StarCraft has like one of the better communities, like as far as like with the weekly like Help a Noob thread, like as far as Reddit, and just like generally, like if you want to like get into the game and play serious, I think there's like enough ways for you to like enter in, like get on a team, like with like Chobo Team League and like the other things like Dust Alpha. Like there's enough like at each level. So if like you really want to do it, like you definitely can, and like just be part of a team and just be part of the community. And even more so now with what Wardy's doing with like the Wardy Team League and stuff.
Oh yeah, Wardy making awesome content as always. Yeah, there are a lot of things that could be done. I'd love to see, and I know this is far fetched, but actually probably almost out of the question. I'd love to see a StarCraft league similar to what they're doing with the Overwatch League, where they go in and they franchise it and they they do it regionally.
Yeah.
Bring in the players, have actual team league where players are in a section of the country or of the world, and they represent that area, things like that. But obviously that would require a lot of funding, and there's no one looking to invest in that. Yeah. For StarCraft. Overwatch, however, yes.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe like StarCraft back in the heyday, like when it was first coming out, it could have made a dent at that when when it was number one esport. When you looked on Twitch and there was 100,000 people watching at all times and all billion streams that were happening.
Mm-hmm.
But that's okay. Like I always like to tell people, like when people say like if they ask like, are you worried about like community and stuff, it's like not really. Like just because it's small doesn't mean it's weak. Like if anything, like the people that are still here are the people that care and like they want it to do well.
Yep.
Like no, not a shot at someone who's like casually in the scene, but you know what I'm saying. Like if
Mm-hmm.
you're here, you're here. And you want to be here, then you're investing your time in something that you love. And if you're not doing it for the wrong reasons, basically.
Yeah,
If that makes
it is
sense.
a way to. No, it does, and it is a way in a lot of ways to keep StarCraft's kind of pure,
Mm-hmm.
and that you look at League of Legends, Overwatch, Counter Strike, even there are people that have rushed off to these things to try and find the next big thing. I don't think there's anything wrong with, hey, I didn't make it in one esport, so I'm moving to the next because
Sure.
I'm not even going to say I'm guilty of it. It's something that I have tried to do.
Yeah.
And I think in the end, you could still be passionate about esports and not necessarily be, faithful to one, right? You can
No.
be
Yeah.
agnostic to what you want to work in. It's about the scene and the community in a lot of ways.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
That said, those who stick around with StarCraft, it does say something to them. And, the people like In Control, Nathanius, all these people who are extremely talented, extremely popular, and they stay with StarCraft. It's because it's the love of the game, right? Because these
Absolutely.
guys could move on to other games, hosting or casting,
Yeah.
and they'd have no issues whatsoever.
Well, and we've kind of seen some of them like branch out and to do some, doing some of the things, you like just gaining other opportunities. I mean, you look at someone like Caldor who was doing, the B stream for GSL in Korea, and now
Mm-hmm.
he's like one of the main streamers for our Heroes of the Storm. And
Mm-hmm.
he's having a much, a much more fun time it seems, and according to his, to himself that he really enjoys that much more. You know,
Yep.
and it's awesome. It's like that's awesome. I'm glad that he found, I always liked him as a caster, and it's like I'm glad that he found something that he liked doing. And if it's not in StarCraft, that's okay though. Kind of like with like what MC's doing right now and going to like League as a coach. It's like yeah, he really can't play competitively anymore, and that's okay. He can bring his motivation and his attitude into League of Legends and hopefully help Kongdu do well.
Yeah, that's going to be crazy to see. Is MC coaching league, but at the same time, I don't think there's any question that MC won't be able to do it. He knows
Yeah,
what it means to be a pro gamer,
yeah,
especially a pro gamer in Korea. He knows the discipline it takes. He knows the team house mentality. I think that he's going to be able to pass on a lot of knowledge and a lot of experience, and it's going to be exciting. I might actually start cheering for League because
yeah.
I know someone
Someone,
who's actually going to be
someone
involved
that's
into
in
it.
it. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, definitely. And he's a good guy too. Like I think he was always one of like the foreigner favorites. Like for as a Korean player, just because of his ceremonies and stuff, and he was always just kind of cheeky and stuff, and I don't know. And you look at it and like I don't know, he's a really cool talent because like he was like kind of like disappeared for a little bit, but then he
Hmm.
comes back into pro league and like takes a couple games off Zest and stuff, and it's like he's just kind of picking up where he left off, like just like he can still crush it if he really puts his mind to it, you know
Oh yeah.
breaking out some old builds that don't make sense anymore and shouldn't work. Like oh shit, I'm just gonna do a 4 gate and just pray that it works, and it kind of did. So
Yeah, he was always a fun guy to watch.
he was like I said, he was just always one of my favorites. But I'd like to say hello to everyone who's in here so far with us. Hey guys, what's up? If you've never seen this before, this is Toast Talks. It's just a pretty chill talk show. We bring on one guest every week, just kind of chit chat about a couple topics. Get your guys' input. You can, at the end we do a little Q&A for you guys to ask us some questions, and then yeah, it's pretty cool, I guess.
Hey, I like it. I think it's a good format. It's not as I guess as busy as a
Yeah.
talk show can get. When you're having 4 or 5 people on it.
Yeah, it's like let's kind of slow it down. We can get a little more intimate, if you will, on topics.
I want to take a second. Now that we're on, to apologize for the yawning and say that it's not because I'm not excited to be here. It's because I'm still catching up from BlizzCon. I didn't sleep the first night. but a couple hours. And then the next night, I slept an hour on the way to the airport, then didn't sleep until I actually got my first flight, and then I was up all day. So I'm still catching up on all this sleep. So I do apologize for the yawning.
Yeah, man, that's no problem. We're, like I said, just kind of glad to have you here. And like I said, the more people kind of flow in as we get talking here, but we'll get started here. And also, guys, if if you have some friends that do enjoy, stuff like this, make sure you share the link to the channel with them. Get them in here as well. We'd like to have as many people as possible, so that we can have a good Q&A session here at the end.
Absolutely.
But yeah, man, let's go ahead and get started here. So, what was the first kind of topic that you wanted to jump into?
Well, let me see. Let me pull up my. I think the first one was foreigners in region lock, wasn't it?
Yeah, I know you wanted to hit on region locking for certain.
All right, yeah. So region locking, I think one of the things that people have realized, or that they realized this tournament, is that getting to the top tier of a bracket, getting to the top ranks, your semifinals, your finals, your quarterfinals, that's significant. And there's a different level of practice you get from that than you do elsewhere. So by foreigners now having a chance in all these tournaments where Koreans can't knock them out before the quarterfinals, semifinals, the fact that they are getting repeated practice too. It's not like Snoot, hey, he crept his way in, he got top 4, but he's booted out and he won't get it again for 3 more tournaments.
Right.
The fact that they are consistently getting that this year, it was a testament at BlizzCon, was a testament to how valuable that is.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And then at the same time, I think the fact that this is only their first year getting that, this is the first year of foreigners really performing in the higher levels of BlizzCon, because the last foreigner I can remember at BlizzCon was Naniwa, and the year before that was no one that I can think of. It might have been an earlier BlizzCon. Yeah, but the I think of season 2 finals 2013, where it was Scarlet versus can't remember who she was facing off as. I think it was a Terran, but either way, Scarlet made it to like the top 16 of the season finals. Either way, the point I'm getting at is at BlizzCon, it was Naniwa 2013. He was the last foreigner that I can remember, and now we have a bunch of foreigners that got to BlizzCon, so they know the stage, they know the crowd, they know the feeling, and that's going to be valuable going into the next year and the year after that. We're going to see these foreigners get to the top 4, get to the finals, and actually succeed.
Yeah, definitely. We saw really good turnouts of the foreigners that were there too. It wasn't like this, like, hey, you're gifted this position. We saw some of the foreigners, take, good games. Like, Showtime took, 2 off of Beyond and a 2-0. If he had not gone out to a laser, he is someone that I actually had pegged that could have actually won the whole thing. He might have been, he had definitely had a good chance to actually be, the first, foreigner winner of BlizzCon.
I think that's non-Korean. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's rough. I think him going out and Neeb going out. I mean, that's the other thing. Going back to it, if you look at the round of 16, no one can look at those foreigners who kicked ass and took names and say, "Hey, you got crushed," because that's what everyone was going to say.
Oh, yeah.
It was either the foreigners are going to be fine. There were 2 sides before BlizzCon. Foreigners are going to be fine, or foreigners are going to get their shit pushed in. And I think several of those foreigners, even Neeb, a lot of people were trying to throw out Neeb is just really good at PvP and he got really lucky at Kespia Cup. At the end of the day, when did that ever carry any foreigner through any tournament?
Right.
Never.
You have to be well-rounded to get anywhere in that. You're never going to get just straight, mirror matchups every time. Just being good in one matchup literally does you no good. Even if you're 100% in PvP and then, 25 in each, you're still going to lose. More than half the time. So,
exactly.
But and you're right. I think people don't give Neeb enough credit for for being as good as he is. As well as some of the others like Laser. We saw him get down to the round of what was it? What did he make it to the round of 8?
Mm-hmm.
To the round of 8.
He got to the
round of 4.
He got to the round of 4.
Round of 4. And he was one that no one was like, what the fuck? Like, this is a waste of time. Like, he's not a good player. Like, why the fuck did they even bother? Why couldn't they have given it to, like, Maru or someone like that? Like, why would they give it to this guy? And he's like, and he pretty much, was pretty much a big fuck you to everyone because he did so well, and in the end, yeah, he didn't win, but he did way better than anyone gave him credit for, than anyone thought he was going to,
Mm-hmm.
than anyone thought he was going to do, and in the end, he kind of made everyone eat their own words, I guess you could say, but it was awesome, like, I mean, I was never like a big laser fan, like I did not like him, but I definitely do now, just
Mm-hmm.
as much ass that he kicked, and just
Yep.
battled that adversity. It was just really cool to see.
Laser was a player that I was very happy for. I'm happy for any player that gets through. They deserve the spot they get, right? But I
Yeah.
agree with you on the idea that if Showtime had made it through, he might have gone further than the Laser, because I felt that overall Showtime is a better player.
Mm-hmm.
But in that moment, in those two series, Laser was the better player. Laser earned that spot, and he deserved it. And no matter who the opponent faces, at the end of the day, when it comes up, you versus them in a best of whatever, if you make it through, you deserve the spot.
Yeah, definitely. Toverdal here brings up a good point. Everyone's really hard on Ebe. They expected him to do so well, because he was, like this first foreign winner and he's done so well. And then when he doesn't do it, everyone's like, oh, whatever, he's not that good. And, like, he's still really good. Like, I think it was just kind of like maybe like an overhype. And then, when someone doesn't follow through on that, they like lose faith almost immediately, which is like sad that happens. But, you know,
I think that Neeb is an incredible player in all aspects. He's a very if you watch, he's used a lot of his Terran in his play. He does really great splits with his depths, multi-prong harass. That's definitely a trademark of the Terran. Dropping here, there, and everywhere else.
Oh, yeah.
Annoying the crap out of your opponent. So Neeb is a very strong player, and I don't think he was. I think it would be very hard to overhype Neeb, because Neeb is, I think, what did Team Liquid call him? The inevitable foreign hope, or the inevitable foreign miracle, something like that. And he really is. Neeb is a representative of everything we've ever wanted to see in a foreign champion, and he did it at Kespa Cup. And I think from that point alone, I'm very, very proud of what he's done for both himself and the foreign scene.
Yeah, definitely. That's why I voted. That's why I voted for him for president. He was my right end. I voted for Neeblet for president. Like, it may not get there, but one day maybe we'll have Senator Neeb and then President Neeb.
With the power of Protoss.
Yeah, exactly. These, I mean, MC was the Obama toss, so I mean that worked.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, now one thing with the region locking. And some people have said this, in some other interviews, and I just want to get your opinion on it. So some people have said that it had a positive effect on the foreigners by, like you said, like getting more experience and playing farther in tournaments and stuff. And we've seen their play get elevated. But then on the flip side, people have said that because of that and because there was less to compete in Korea, they're maybe not their passion, but like their practice schedules have not been as tough, and therefore they've actually gotten worse. Now I'm not saying it's like, here's foreigners and here was Korea, right? Because it was like this at one point, right? And I'm not saying it was like it's this, where, but I'm saying maybe they came down a little bit, and then the foreigners also came up. Like that's in my opinion, that's what I do think happened. I think a tiny bit, that did, it definitely affected them. Like, it didn't get better. Like, it did not help them in any way. If anything, it did affect them negatively. But
so I
don't think it's as such an extreme.
I need a chart, right? Because there's so many factors. All right, so I'm gonna try to list them off and try to not be repetitive. If you think from the foreigner side, you get more time in the upper brackets of tournaments. You get more motivation to play hard. You get, because you're not going to get waylaid by a Korean every tournament you go to. There are a lot of factors positive for the foreigners, but let's talk about the Koreans, right? First of all, there are not as many SSLs, and there are not as many GSLs this past year, and there are not going to be again, from my assumption. There was also only one Kespa Cup, which almost didn't happen, it seems. So you have less tournaments, but how does that affect your practice schedule? Are the houses not making you practice as much as you did the years before because of that one extra, perhaps. Are you in a tournament all throughout the year? I don't know the Korean stats by heart, but were all of those Koreans in every single GSL and every SSL up to the round of 4, up to the finals? That's something to take into consideration.
Yeah.
And so with that, they don't need the upper bracket practice as badly as the foreigners. So I don't think that would have been a factor, but it's still a matter of, are they in competitive mode, right?
Yeah.
The longer you're in competitive mode, you can train all you want. You can train for a year, but if you haven't been also competing over the year, even if you get a direct seed into the finals of BlizzCon, there's a good chance you're not going to take it because you haven't been competing. Right. Then you got to go to the human factor, right? Foreigners are amped up because they've been kicking ass and taking names all year. If you're Neeb, if you're Showtime, if you're Nurchio, you're very excited and very pumped up. But if you're a Korean that has now watched your scene lose 2 major tournaments, amongst others, and not being able to travel outside of your area to go compete elsewhere, that's going to weigh on you, and that's going to have a psychological effect. So it's really hard to quantify what did and did not have an effect on the Koreans, but we can definitely speculate, and there are definitely a lot of factors that could have negatively impacted the Korean players. That said, we saw some fan-fucking-tastic play, and it's really hard to look at a lot of those games from the Koreans and say, hey, this is the last year, coming to light in this tournament. No, it's Koreans kicked ass and did very well. You just happen to have some foreigners that were very, very good.
Yeah. Absolutely. And like I said, I agree with that. There's just so many different factors in it that it's super hard to narrow it down. But regardless, we saw excellent games. The play is still at like an all-time high in competitiveness as far as that goes. Which whoever wrote that stupid article about how this isn't like the best StarCraft that's ever been played is.
Man, what a fucking thing to do, right? Jesus Christ!
That was like awful timing for you to try to write that and like. I don't know.
I think Jeff said time and place, right?
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with the controversial article. And let's can we talk about that for a second?
Yeah.
I didn't read the article, but I watched the conversation unfold. And if I were to assume what the article was about, it's saying that at this point in time, the skill the skill in the tournaments nowadays is not as good as what it was then. But you got to think about it, right? Look at just the way the skills evolved and the way that the game changed.
Oh yeah.
You look at Wings of Liberty, you look at HOTS, and you look at Legacy of the Void. Just technically, everyone has grown, and they're a much better player. You look at the way they, strategically, they're much better players. I mean, tactics, all across the board. Oh, yeah. Everything has evolved, and the skill floor has grown, has gone up. So it's just the idea that to say now that I think, honest to God, I think that diamond level players now could have been GSL champions back then. If you look at the way they play,
I've made the exact same argument. Just given what they know about the game, like if you take, like Marine King, right, who won a GSL championship in Wings, and if you took him up and pit him against a diamond player, now the diamond player has watched all those matches up until now. He knows everything that he fucking knows, and you put them in the same fucking game, he's gonna abuse things that Marine King's never seen before. Do use different strategies that he, even if it's cheese, he's like, how what is this? They would not even be prepared for it. Like it would be competitive, but would not be funny. You know what I mean? Like it'd be way more one-sided than you would think it would be.
Yeah. So it was just, first of all, I think it was poor taste to release the article when it happened. But at the same time, I think it's very ignorant to undervalue the accomplishments of the foreign scene right now.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we still have some of the most godlike Koreans playing.
Yeah. Well, we're going to get another sampling of that here at Home Story Cup too. So we have like a decent amount of foreigners and Koreans playing that. So, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if, we have some good foreigner turnout for that,
Mm-hmm. And I'm excited for it.
Yeah, absolutely. So going into and kind of putting us back on topic of region locking. What is your how would you like to see it change for next year? Like, is there anything you want to see changed, like as far as like how like the circuits ran for next year?
I mean, so from circuit running or from the region locking perspective?
Kind of like so. My opinion on it is that I think they should have more circuit tournaments, at least for Korea, that they can get to keep it a little more consistent, as far as like what they're competing in. But then open up more national or world games basically. So give them a little more opportunity for us to play for them to play each other. Maybe like 4 world tournaments per year, not including BlizzCon. BlizzCon being like the final of the year, and then giving everyone the opportunity to compete in those. But then also having your region locked circuit tours as well.
So the way I would want it, right, in the perfect world, is that we have WCS, we have GSL, SSL, and then we have the DreamHack IEMs all as separate entities again, right?
Okay.
But fucking region lock it the way it is now, except have every IEM and every DreamHack, let those be the global events that we talked about.
Yeah.
We were supposed to have much more, and I don't blame Blizz for us not having those global events. I think a lot of things fell through that they weren't planning on, and I really don't blame them for it. But it's not. This isn't going to happen, right? I just don't think the money and support is there. But that's what I want to see, right? I want to see the WCS for the foreigners. I want to see them being able to compete amongst themselves, both in Europe and North America. I want to see that going the way that the rest of the last year did, but then have the IEMs and the DreamHacks will be the place where the Koreans and the foreigners go head to head, and those happen, intermittently throughout the year. So while WCS season 1s and 2s and 3s are going on, you still have the foreigners and Korean meeting in between and during. So we're getting ideas of, how are they matching up against each other?
Yeah, exactly.
And then over in Korea, another SSL and another GSL if possible, but.
Yeah. No, that's exactly what I meant. That's like exactly how I would like it as well. You give them a little more opportunity than to play each other than kind of like just that 1 or 2 times per year. Open that up, then we'll just see the skill level just go up even farther. There'll be even harder competitions because then as soon as the first foreigner does win like a major title like that, like a BlizzCon, and like it's just gonna like piss them off, and then it's gonna be they're going to come in with their chip on their shoulder and then just wanting to say, no, like Korea is the best. We've always been the best. Like we're never going to let, it'll just make for more entertaining games and better storylines.
Yep.
So I don't know. That would be amazing. And it's not really that far fetched, to be honest, for that to be a thing either. Like it wouldn't be like that hard for them to like put it together.
No, it'd just be expensive.
Yeah, I mean, with all the money that I'm throwing at this game right now, though, through all the DLC, though,
I mean, perhaps that'll, that'll change things.
Yeah, absolutely. We can obviously with BlizzCon, we saw that arena was, for the finals there was packed, so it's definitely not, dead game like people like to meme and say it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's pretty much it for region locking, unless you had anything else.
No, that was it.
Okay. Next, it looks like you wanted to talk about a little bit of just like StarCraft 2 support was as far as like Blizzard.
Actually, when I wrote that, I don't know what. So let's jump to the community participation.
Okay, sure, absolutely.
So there was a forum up in the community amphitheater at Blizzard, on the 3rd floor, and they were talking about. It was 2 of the community heads. Or not community heads, but it was one of the 2 of the developers, and they were discussing really anything people wanted to ask about. So I, of course, asked a butt ton of questions, and one of the things I asked about was there was a discussion on the late game a while back where I think it was a Cats in Control episode, and there was a lot of negativity. I think it was maybe during the winter stuff, and there was a lot of negativity going on and a lot of crap in the subreddit, and I'm like, why don't people participate? Why doesn't In Control Cats? Why don't all these big figures more often spend their time talking to the members of the community and guiding discussion? And one of the things they said is, hey, I just don't want to put my neck out there. You do that, and then you're going to get shit on. You're going to catch an unnecessarily amount of flack. Things are going to be held over your head for many, many years to come. And it's just not worth it to them. And I asked them about that. I'm like, they're talking about feedback. They're talking about how valuable the summit was, but saying that, while there's this really good back and forth that exists there, they only get it at that time. And they said that they want us, it would benefit them greatly if they didn't just go to the forums and see, the usual posters. Because they talked about, how they have to differentiate between this troll and this not troll and all that, and
Right.
try to discern when people are being serious and when they're not. And to have community members like your In Controls, your Nathanius, etc., when they get in and actually stir up the pot, or they guide discussion, or they say, "This is my opinion on the matter. What do you think?" That really does help the developers to make those threads more valuable than they would be just among as community feedback. And I think that people really should start to do that more.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think the fact that they're like it's something that gets held over their head. Well, you know what, you're in this community one way or another, until you're not. Whether or not you want to be an impactful part of it or a passive part of it, that's totally up to you. But I think it really surprised me that In Control, and maybe he was just having enough time there, but he's usually one of the more positive people, and usually for the most part really doesn't give a fuck what people think about him, and he's he does him and he does he's always said that he will always try his 100% hardest to do the best possible job that he can, and if people don't like that, then fuck him. For the most part, and he's not wrong. Like, I mean, I got shit on when I first started, like, Dank Shrine. Like, it was a piece of shit. I didn't care. It was something that I just thought was fun. And yeah, it's not really that big yet, but I've been consistent with it, and it's been growing. And a lot of people now have said that they do enjoy it. So it's like, to me, it's like sometimes, like, when I personal stream, like, I'll have like one viewer, like just one other person, and like they might just really be having like a good time. Like, I have like a good back and forth with them. And someone's like, well, why do you even stream? Like, you only get like one view at a time. It's like, I don't really care. Like, I would be playing this game anyway, but if I could bring someone else some joy while playing it and like have like a good time, then what the fuck does it matter if I didn't have like 1,000
Yep.
people? If you enjoy it, then do it. And it all kind of comes back to that. I think if these guys really do enjoy the game, that they really do need to be more of a part of the community like that.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't think they need to jump in on every single conversation that we're having.
Yeah, they're not.
But
They don't work directly for Blizzard. They don't need to be,
right. It's
community
just
outreach people.
right, and not everyone's going to be that person too. Not every community person is that kind of outspoken individual that wants to be
Right.
involved in those conversations. But the ones that are the ones that could be, I think it's just, no one has to do it. There's no obligation to do it. It's just something that, if I were a better player from, the technical side of StarCraft, if I had the game knowledge that Nathanius had, for instance, I'd probably participate a lot heavier in the balance discussions and the game design discussions. At the summit, like, I give my 2 cents on a few things, like, they showed us some of the demo stuff, and I gave my opinion on what I thought was good and bad. But at the end of the day, I can't speak up too much because I don't have that kind of knowledge. But if I did, that's something I would want to do. So I just wish that, we are seeing it, by the way. It's not that this isn't happening at all. Jeff, Nathanius, all these people, I've watched the threads the last couple of weeks, and they've been definitely jumping in a lot. So it's just something that it should happen more.
Yeah.
Depending on the thread, the conversation happening.
Yeah, definitely. And like, it all comes back to just community, participation. And I feel like if they want to foster like that good, like, community, like, that's where they should be a little bit. And they kind of sounds like kind of fucking preachy. Like, it's their job. Like, they should just be happy with what they have. And that's not necessarily true. Like, they do have their own fucking life to live. They can't just sit there on forums, and fucking browse it constantly. They do have other things in their lives. But
Yeah.
I don't know. To me, it's kind of like they're in the rock and a hard place where it's like, I really do want to be in the community, but I'm not like looking to literally invest all of my time into being like a forum moderator.
Yeah. No, exactly. And I don't expect that of them. And excuse me, try not to sneeze. I don't expect that of them.
Bless you.
Oh, you stopped it.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, I don't expect them to become the moderators, and that's not what they should be. I more just think of discussion
Definitely.
guidance counselors.
No,
Maybe.
yeah, I understand, and that's maybe, and that's something that this show will maybe even develop into, where it's even more community focused, where it's like, let's get in here and talk about that kind of stuff. Like,
That's how it looked. Yeah,
Let's
that's
talk
how it
about
looked.
what you want to talk about. What's that? That's how late game was.
Yeah, no, that's
Yeah,
how it looked the late game. It's we're not getting some conversations just on the forum, so the late game allows people to come in and let's have those focused discussions.
yeah,
And it gets
definitely.
put, people view it, people put it to a VOD, and those community figure opinions get out there.
Definitely. Well, and one thing too, and you've kind of been there, and I'm kind of going there too, is we're becoming, more community focused, and we're becoming, you know, so to speak, the community faces, and that to a lesser extent, we're kind of also someone that like these people are looking for, like, well, what's their opinion? They're the ones that do talk about this, and obviously because we do this, they have to watch a lot of content and play a lot to be able to keep up with this. So to a lesser extent, we're also important, I don't know, to that community, and it's just as much our job, I feel like, to kind of help out as much as we can to, whether it be through this or on the forums directly. But it's always just nice to just be able to help, I guess. Like that's like one of the reasons why I like doing these kind of things, like just the shows in general, is just because I like being in the community, and I like being like someone that people look forward to, like, hearing from, like, yeah, he's pretty insightful, like, he's not like a fucking grandmaster, but just because his fingers don't work as fast as someone else's doesn't mean he doesn't know as much as someone else.
Yep, agreed.
But yeah, like I said, I totally agree with where you were coming from. Just with it would be nice to see just a little more community participation, maybe even from other community members as well. Like not just specifically those two. I mean, there's so many other people.
Oh yeah, no, and I mean
I know
I
just you
said
using
those
that
two
as an
because
example.
I think they were on that show, so that's
Yeah,
more why and they brought up very good points, by the way. I don't disagree with their ideas. It's been very hard for me in a lot of ways to put my neck out there, to give my opinion, both because I come from a very objective understanding of where I stand, what I haven't done compared to other people,
yeah,
um, in my position in the community. So yeah, it's not specifically them. It's more just I brought them up because they were on the episode.
right, right. Yeah, it's more of an example. Like, let's see, what else did you want to go over here? Looks like we also wanted to talk about maybe kind of like our place, like in the esport ecosystem.
Yeah. So one of the things I've always thought about is that StarCraft is like the tennis or golf of esports. I think it's tennis is better, because it's so 1v1 sport. But if you look at tennis, right? You look at compared to football, basketball,
Rugby,
rugby. It's that team sports always do better, right?
sure.
You bond with them because it's your nationality or because it's your city, your region, your state, whatever.
Yeah.
That you in America you have it's the Cleveland Browns, it's the Baltimore Ravens, it's
Well,
the
no one likes them, but
hey, it's the Golden State Warriors,
sure.
it's
The
things like
Seminoles,
that.
yeah, everything.
In football, it's I'm sorry, soccer. If you're American, it's
Football.
you're not United States, Italy,
Yep.
England, things like that. So
Manchester United, sure. Real Madrid.
yeah, there are all those different reasons that team sports succeed greater than something like tennis or golf. But tennis is still prestigious.
Absolutely.
Tennis still takes a ton of skill. It's a highly respected sport, and there's still a market for it. That's the other thing, right? You got to think that StarCraft holds the monopoly on 1v1 competitive games.
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
yes, other 1v1s have existed. Other 1v1s do exist. But RTS and 1v1, StarCraft 2 is the dominant king
it's
in
the
the
king.
esports system.
Nothing comes
So
close.
the dead game stuff does negatively affect our scene. I've talked to people on the back end who have said that they've tried to get sponsors to come in where certain events were happening, big events were happening, and sponsors were dropping off. And these are regularly occurring events. So some of the top talent at these events decided, hey, we're going to try to get some new sponsors in. And then when they approach these sponsors, they say, but isn't the scene dying? And the only reason they think that is because the little bit of information they get about our scene is from the occasional browse of Reddit, because they're not
Or
living
Twitter.
on our forums.
Yeah.
Exactly. They're not living on our forums. They're living on other forums with the bigger names and the bigger numbers
Sure.
because they're trying to sell stuff to, they're trying to push product.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean they wouldn't be interested in StarCraft. Coca-Cola might get more advertisement, what do you call it? Cost per. They might get more ROI on an investment towards the NFL,
Yeah.
but they're going to get still ROI from doing the PGA Tour for golf, or
absolutely.
the Wimbledon or something like that. I don't know if Coke is a sponsor of Wimbledon, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So there is a reason for people to support StarCraft, but at the same time, if people don't accept that that's our place, that we're going to be smaller, etc., and they continue the dead game meme, even this kind of conversation, this kind of still continues it, right? Because people really just need to, we need to not be discussing it, and people need to not be bringing it up. But so aside from the dead game stuff, it's just that's where we are within the esports ecosystem. We are the 1v1 game. We're smaller, but we're still highly skilled players. We have some of the best caster and hosting talent in esports, 100%.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. The only thing I disagree with what you have really said there was that we're more like golf and tennis, being that those are pretty boring to watch, in my opinion. They're more fun to play. Whereas StarCraft is really fun to play and to watch, in my opinion. So I would like to say we're more like boxing or MMA. That's still a very one-on-one, obviously, sport, but it's way more entertaining to watch. I don't know if you've ever watched two guys kick the shit out of each other, but it's pretty entertaining. If you can watch that for a good, 5 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
it brings a lot of stuff to the table there.
I get what you're saying.
But yeah, no. Besides kind of memeing there, but no, like I said, I do agree with you. But to be honest, I do believe that. I think that's a better representation of what we are, because it is really fun to watch. And it's not like people don't watch golf and they don't watch tennis, but I think too, let's look at it from the point of view of a casual person. If I'm flipping through channels and I've got the option to watch, let's say I'm not big into boxing right now, so let's say Mayweather versus Pacquiao again, right? Mm-hmm. Or I've got PGA Masters. I'm probably gonna go to boxing, just for me. But that's because I don't watch either of those that much. But if I've got to choose between that, or, one or the other, I'm gonna watch boxing. I think it's that's more faster paced, a little more interesting. Maybe I can follow it a little bit better. And I think, especially when it comes to our casting talent, I think if you've never watched a game of StarCraft and you have Talos and Artosis casting what's happening, you will immediately understand what's going on. Whether you realize that or not, you'll be able to follow it. You could introduce someone who's never played the game and have them watch a best of 3, and they'd be like, I know some good strategies. They'd be ready to ladder.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
But it's you bring up an interesting point with that though. But because it's almost like the same thing with those sports as well though. They're not the huge sports,
mm-hmm.
And it's kind of funny because it's, let's use golf again. Masters obviously is the biggest, right? Let's use that as an example. That's definitely their most watched tournament throughout the year. Whereas the other ones, yeah, sure, they get they get their views, but nothing like Masters or Wimbledon, same thing. They get the most right there. So it really is a lot like StarCraft. Whereas you look at that, that's our BlizzCon is Wimbledon or the Masters.
Mm-hmm.
That's when we get the most people watching.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you make an interesting point. Yeah. What else did you have? Did you have anything else? I know we talked about quite a few different things there. Do you have anything else specifically you wanted to bring up?
No, it just a real quick BlizzCon recap. It was a lot of fun. The tournament is always amazing. The finals, they're always good games. I like the fact that they do the round of 16 the week beforehand, and then they do the round of 8 here, best of 5s. Mm-hmm. There's a part of me, I don't know if it has a place in the finals, but there's a part of me that sometimes wishes they had a lower bracket, right? Because to see a Laser and Neeb go out when they did, or Showtime, kind of feels bad, man. But I was very happy with the results. Beyond, really what it showed, what this tournament showed, is that by the foreigners getting to the round of 8 and the foreigners that got out of the round of 8 into the round of 4, it showed that foreigners had improved substantially with the current system the way it is, right?
Yeah.
It is just absolutely awesome. What it also showed is that foreigners still have a ways to go, right? Mm-hmm. So what these people need to do is build upon what they learned this year, continue it into next year, and then bring it back to BlizzCon 2017 and make, one more foreigner get to the round of 4, make one foreigner get to the finals, something like that, right? Yeah. And they might get crushed there too, right? But at the end of the day, 2018 is right around the corner. They're going to do it again.
It's progress, and it makes for for good matches, and it gets us excited to watch. I think too, because you do have like your Korean fanboys, but then there's always that, like you said, that kind of like the home team mentality of seeing like. Even if it's a European, it's like I still consider that, one of us,
Yep.
So, it's just
yeah, so the finals were amazing. Bjorn was awesome. Watching him win was the highlight of my year.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. So from the esports perspective, it was great. BlizzCon is always fun. I got to see a lot of great faces, a lot of good old friends, made new friends. Of course did the business networking and things like that.
It's required, gotta shake some hands.
I stayed at the Hilton. I had a friend who, for whatever reason, wanted to blow a ton of money, so I didn't have to pay for it.
Nice.
But it was nice to not have to walk a mile to go back anywhere from the so if I picked up some swag or something, I could take it right back to my room.
Right.
They turned the Hilton into like a party area this year, so. Usually the Hilton is where people hang out. They sit at the bar.
Yeah.
You get to meet a gamer or a personality here or there. You just get to meet some new friends. This year, Blizzard stepped it up, and Thursday, Friday, and Saturday all had a DJ playing in the Hilton lobby. So it was pretty nuts. It was also like a 20-minute wait to get a drink, which was obnoxious.
Right.
But
bring your own booze next year. Bring a flask.
Right. It's a hotel bar. It's really fucking hard to hold a big party there.
Order multiple drinks at once. Like, all right, I need 5 beers. Just
like
order a pitcher.
Yeah, I wonder. Hold on, give me 1 second. How many people attend BlizzCon 20? We'll go 2015. Let's see if they say how many people attended. Because you got to think it's an insane number of people. Like 10 million people watch it. The tickets sell out every year. So I just can't imagine. Holy shit! 25,000 people attended BlizzCon last year.
That's nuts.
Yeah, and that seems to be where it's kind of capped out at. So.
You think there's like not even like enough places for them to stay while they're there, right?
Yeah, no, every hotel in the area has to be booked. Funny enough, though, I found out as we were checking out at 3:30 in the morning, I found out that we are not actually the busiest weekend that they have. They have some conference that comes in earlier in the year, and it's people from the music industry, so they have actual like celebrities and all that, and some pretty rowdy parties apparently. But I could see that. Yeah, so that's the biggest time of the year for the hotel, but still we tear it up. That's a lot of people to be around.
Yeah, definitely. Was it at any point, was it like kind of like overwhelming, like how many people were there? Like I've heard that it's kind of a thing where it's like there's just like so many people.
I've never felt overwhelmed. It's not like I can't move because there's everyone around me. Yeah, no, there are lines. Like if you're waiting early in the morning to get in, there's going to be a line.
Well, that's to be expected, right? Like that many people, like it's kind of silly to think that there wouldn't be.
Most people go on Thursday though to get their tickets, right?
Sure.
Pick them up. So that's cool. They go get their tickets on Thursday, which means when I usually get in the evening, and I go get my ticket before I go to the community party. So I get my ticket, and there's no one there. And it's also media has a shorter line anyway, but no one's there in the evening because everyone has waited from like early Thursday morning
to
get
like 4 in the morning till right.
So I get there, and instead what I did this year, 2 things. First of all, I I went and stood in the line to get some swag because I thought, hey, this year I'll actually buy some things instead of just the pins. So
Yeah.
I got up. Plus, I was staying with my best friend, the guy who I was having dinner with tonight.
Okay. Cool.
I stayed with him and one of his friends from when we were in the Marine Corps. He drove up from San Diego, and so then they had two friends over, and so their two friends stayed in the other queen bed. So my friend's friend stayed on an air mattress, and my friend and I shared a bed. So it was a
Right.
pretty packed room. And I woke up, and my friend's a smoker, and I could smell the cigarettes when I woke up. So I'm like,
Mm.
I'm not sleeping here anymore. So it was like 6 a.m. So I went and I showered, and I walked over to the place and waited to get some swag. And then I got in, and the Murloc sweater that I wanted they didn't have my size.
Yeah, okay.
So I wasn't going to buy that. But anyway, either way, I learned that you can go there early, and no one else is going to be in line because most people got their badges the day before. The line did grow, but I got there an hour and a half before it opened. There were like 10 people sitting around just talking.
Right. That's
So,
kind of nice.
yeah.
So let's say like who did you meet this year that you had not met like prior, or that you've never like had like an interview with or anything like that, you know?
I met Smix. I talked to Smix for the first time.
Okay.
Let me see. Jenna Bain. She was really nice. For one of the, I can't remember if she was the owner of Axiom or if she just managed Axiom.
Well, I think she was.
I know. I think she ran the team for sure.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah.
And so she was really nice, really awesome person. I'm running out of people to meet at this point,
Right.
which is kind of cool.
You've been around for quite a while.
Yeah, so I got to see a lot of people that I haven't seen in a while. I met a couple people outside of the StarCraft scene. I met some WoW streamers. I met some who is that? I met Swifty,
Okay.
Towley,
Yeah.
and I met an executive from E-League who was there in the Hilton lobby. So there were a few people, but yeah, like I said, running out of people to meet, which is kind of awesome.
Yeah, it's a good achievement to have. You know, it's like, oh hey, yeah, how are you? Yeah. Like, how do you know that guy? Oh, we hang out. You know, we've met. We're good friends. So,
Yeah, best buds.
Yeah,
back on the block.
Every time we're here, yeah, we always talk. No, that's cool, man. Like I said, I'm looking forward to going this next year. I've got a really busy year as far as just travel wise. Like, see what I've got. Nothing until next year. But in April, I'm going to Amsterdam for my honeymoon. So
Nice.
That'll be fun.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I mean, we probably won't do too much nerdy shit while we're there, but you know, it'll still be really fun. And then when we get back, we're going out to Colorado for my buddy's bachelor party. So
Nice.
go out there. Then we're flying out either to Atlanta or back to Denver for DreamHack, depending if they have StarCraft or not. And then to wrap it all up, we're going to the Virgin Islands in August for another vacation.
Wow.
And then BlizzCon, hopefully. So, like a lot of travel. Yeah, I don't know. Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed for you there.
I've got a lot of free hotel points right now from when I used to travel for work. So like I've got like a ton of free nights. So that's what I'm hoping to cash those in on.
Nice.
Is, you know, like going at the Hilton. You know, even if I've got to spend them all, you know, just to be right there. Like you were saying, like that will just be nice.
Oh yeah, it really is. It does make a difference. I mean, your first year of BlizzCon, you're gonna have such an amazing time that a little bit of inconvenience in a hotel won't kill you. But if you can, it's definitely.
Yeah, I was gonna say hopefully I'm a little bit better known by the time BlizzCon rolls around. So like, I don't know, just so people will be like, oh yeah, like I've seen that. How's it going? You know, not like, oh yeah, I do this. Maybe you should go look at it. Like, no, it's like I've seen it.
Oh, I think they definitely will.
So hopefully, I mean, I plan on keeping it going. So, and like I said, every time it seems to just get better and better. You know, we've invested a little bit of money in equipment. You know, we do have a sponsor now, a pretty minor sponsor, but it's still cool. It's, you know, it's growth. And we've got some other stuff like in the making right now with a bigger sponsor right now. That I'm not going to say anything about yet because it's not official, but we're trying to make some stuff happen with that. So that's cool.
Good.
But yeah, man, like I said, and so what about you? I mean, we kind of talked about you kind of coming back and maybe doing the late game again, or something
Um,
like that.
so I do plan to come back, but I don't think that when I come back, it won't necessarily be the late game.
Right.
I think it's going to be a new show. It's going to be rebranded. Whether or not it's going to be exclusively SC2 or not, I'm not sure. Because at the end of the day, I do want to play my hand towards other games.
Yeah.
And I want it to be the games that I really like. I don't want to just go for what's hot. So I'm trying to really, I guess, do some soul searching within the esports scene and decide, because there's no question I love StarCraft. And StarCraft, if I could move towards StarCraft and actually make that a career, I would. But the reality is I can't. So it's a matter of finding a game that I actually love and not just a game that I think can pay the bills and whatnot. Because right now I don't need StarCraft to do that. I'm sorry, I don't need esports to do that.
Right.
But I want esports to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's like the dream. It's like be a personality, do this, do that. Like that's like kind of like the dream for us. It's like it would be nice to be able to, to come to work every day and talk esports. Like that's kind of my goal right now, and that's kind of like where I'm on track with is, I want to be like someone that's like in a network that's similar to like ESPN, but for esports.
Yep.
Esport PN, I'm just kidding. Like, but like the equivalent of that though, basically like, that would be amazing to me. And part of it's just having the passion, and you gotta, you know this at one point you gotta be willing to start small. You gotta be willing to, you gotta earn it. And that's what I'm not afraid to do. I was back actually in the community, back in Wings, in a much lesser of a role. But do you remember were you around? Did you play in Wings?
No, I did not.
Not at all?
Nope.
Okay. Do you remember any of the tournament sites like Z33K.com, Zeke.com, or Playhim?
I've heard of Zeke.com, and I've heard of Playhim.
So I used to work for Zeke. Like,
okay.
I was like 15, and I was like a tournament admin, and I was a caster for it. But I did like the bronze, silver, gold, like weekly.
Okay.
So like back in the day, like I was like somewhat in the community, but then like, like I was young, like I like hadn't even graduated like high school yet. Like I kind of had to like focus on things, so to say. But like I had like bought a house, like I got married, like like doing all this stuff, and like I was like there's like this void, and I'm like, what am I like missing here? Because like something's not here, like I'm doing everything I like, but like something not it. And one day I just had I had a hankering to play some StarCraft, and it was like right when Legacy had come out, and then I was like, I don't know why, but I really want to like I hadn't want to for a long time. I had kind of gotten salty during with the Broodlord and Fester in HOTS. So I but I came back and I was like, God, it just feels so good. Like it felt like like that like feeling like when you go on vacation and then you come home and you lay down in your own bed. Like, it kind of felt like that. It's like, God, it really does feel good to be back. Like. And it doesn't really matter that it's like in a very small role, but it's just like I'm just happy to be here, like
happy to have you, dude.
Yeah, man. It's like I just love to be in the community and be a part of it and just do things that is like helpful. And I don't know, like I just feel like I have like that type of personality that can make something like this work. Like I bring in like I have enough to bring to the table to like where it makes it interesting. And even though I'm not like the greatest player. Like my insight and like I don't know, like I said, like I know a lot more than I can like do, like as far as my play. You know what I mean? Like I'm just diamond, but like I definitely can understand like where GMs are coming from, like when they're doing certain things. Like I can follow that, And like I said, it's less about that and more just about like how much you enjoy doing things, And if if it takes me 5 years to even make any like $1 in this, you know what? Who cares? I still had a lot of fun doing it. But if it ends up working out, even better.
Completely agree.
If you can make money, doing a hobby, you found something awesome.
Yep.
Especially if you enjoy it. Like some people make beef jerky. I do StarCraft 2 talk shows. Like that's like the equivalent. This is an this is an artisan talk show. It's a gluten free. It's vegan, so it's acceptable for everyone. But anyway. Well, I think we're kind of ready to jump to our Q&A here. If you're ready, I don't think we had anything else you wanted to, unless you had anything else you wanted to go over.
No, let's do it.
Okay. Well, guys, so for the next like 15 minutes, so we'll go until about 9:20 my time, so about 15 minutes or so, 13 minutes. Let's do a Q&A. If you guys have questions for us, just type out who it's for, what the question is, and we'll do our best to answer it for the next 15 minutes or so. And then we'll just kind of see what happens here. see what kind of questions we get. I know that it was kind of a weird night to do it. I know we'd already kind of pre-scheduled it when like, we had like the election going on right now, so it's not like super like a good time. But there's always VODs. I had quite a few people end up watching the C-Tone interview later. So plus this is a new show, so when people see it, they're kind of like, "What is this?"
Yeah, the election results right now. We're looking at let's see, Trump winning so far 140 to 104, and there's a lot of prediction for him to take Florida and Ohio. What is Ohio? Election results, Ohio.
What do you? Oh yeah, 104 to 140. Yeah, they were saying if Hillary basically won Florida, that it was pretty much going to be over at that point.
Yeah, they're saying if like it's Florida and Ohio need to be claimed. Well, for Trump, I don't know if it goes the same way for Hillary.
Well, I think he needed to win like all like the battle states basically to win, like all the swing states. He needed to get all of them for him to win, and Hillary really only needed one, the whole one to win it. Based on their predictions and all that stuff. So I don't know. Like you said, that's something that's I don't know. It's pretty interesting as well, but and that might have taken some of our viewers for tonight. We got up to like 15 at one point, so not a huge group, but that's okay. Like I said, I'm happy with just a couple if it's people that want to be here basically.
Hmm.
Let's see here. I know I took a poll earlier for who people voted for. Let me take a peek back at that. Who did you vote for? Let's see. Let's see what our results were for that. Come on, Twitter. Let's load this up here. Come on. Okay, we had a 29% voted for the Donald, 18% for the meme queen, and a whopping 53% for the Neeblet. So, if it was up to be, the Neeblet would be our next president. So
I take Neeblet.
The President Neeblet. His first act would be to declare StarCraft like I don't know.
Official pastime of America.
Right, and then the entirety of BlizzCon is now a national holiday. So if you've ever wanted to go, you'll automatically get that day off now. That would be amazing. Again, guys, let's go with some questions. If you have any for me or Lycan, now would be the time to ask. Because we're wrapping up here in about 10 minutes or so. So let's go ahead and try to get any. If you have them, let's get them in. Yeah. This is kind of how it went with C-Tone too. It was kind of like, we had like a few, but, I think the VODs get a little more work. Probably after that, then that's when people will be tweeting you questions like, "Hey, I saw you in Toast Talks. Like, I wanted to ask a question now."
Yeah, or they'll ask it in the comments. Yeah, I'll keep an eye on it.
Yeah, the question. So what do you? So what? I don't know what. Like right now, what are you thinking for like a show? Like I know you said you kind of wanted to like explore like what other esports are you kind of exploring? Like what other games are you playing right now?
Oh, I want to do a show that's a little different than the Skype shows, right? Because that's what esports has had for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I want to do something that's. I want something that has bits and segments, things like that. That's what I wanted the late game to be. That's what I wanted the late game to be originally.
Mm-hmm.
And it just the production, what it took to produce, was too fucking difficult for me to run by myself. So, yeah.
Well, it would be cool if it could be done, which it really can't. Was if you could kind of have the late night talk show, like and just like, you're Fallon and you're talking to have your guests and they're in person, You know, and you got some camera work between you and whatever, you know, and yeah, like different segments. Like I feel like that's kind of what you're talking about. That would be kind of like cool. Make it a little more real, I guess you could say, like to what people are used to for like a talk show. Like this is kind of like the best we can do right now, you know, because no one has like the money to fly anyone else out to like come to my house and like sit down with me and like do some interview. Like that would not, you know, bode well for my checkbook. So.
Well, I don't think we're gonna get any questions tonight.
Well, that's okay. Like I said, you know, I'm almost going to guarantee it was the the election that's still in our thunder, but that's fine. You know, it is what it is. But yeah, man, like I said, it was really great having you on. I appreciate you coming on and kind of talking with me and kind of going over, you know, everything that we talked about. I think we had some pretty productive talks, and I think when people do watch this, they will be very well informed, and they will be glad that they spent the time to watch it.
I'm really glad you had me, man. I really like the show. I like the concept of this and the Dank Shrine, and I appreciate you having me.
What do you think of the name of the Dank Shrine? I've caught flack for that because it's not like people either expect it to be like we're like really stoned and like retarded and just like kind of talking about StarCraft, and then other people just like, okay, like there's no memes in the show. Like where are the memes?
Yeah, no, I think that I like it. You know, it's different.
I think it's like
I like it.
I think it's like a good enough name. Like the whole point of it's like a serious show, but we don't take ourselves too seriously. So it's like that kind of like that balance, you know, like we do care about it, you know, and it's something that we like, but we're also not like this must be done, you know, in this way, you know, super scripted. Like here is your outline, you will read, you know, like.
Yep.
I don't know. I always imagine like those terrible like scripted shows. Like when I think of like, you know, that it's just like where you can tell it's not genuine. Like I want everyone that comes on to just have genuine, you know, emotion and just genuine talk, you know. Like if you've got a fucking negative opinion, then let's hear it. You know, like I'm not afraid of that. Like I'm not afraid of, you know, of a controversy. We kind of had that like in the last one with Cito, and he was kind of calling out some of the other, you know, tournament organizers a little bit there and kind of airing the dirty laundry, but it's like that's good though. Like it's healthy for him because like you can't like just keep all that shit bottled up. You got to let that out. But then also it's like, you know, it's just good in general just to kind of get into that. It's like it's like something that like people don't know about. Mm-hmm. It's like, hey, you're kind of bringing that to air, so it's kind of like a good thing actually. You know, it's something that's interesting. Like when we had like Migraine on in like one of our first episodes of the Dank Shrine, he had told us about like how like No Regret had like slept through two WCSs while he was on Psystorm, and like really left an awful taste in their mouth. And how like when he like they spent that money to like send him out to Korea, and then he basically just quits. Like they sent him out there on their dime. He's like, all right, thanks for sending me. I quit. You know, like I never knew any of that shit, and I was like, holy fuck, like that's kind of a big deal. Like that like has changed my perspective of him like a lot, and not in a good way. You know, like. I try to like hold, you know, like give everyone the benefit of the doubt, but it's like, man, like you really fucked them over, and he made it pretty hard for me to like you after hearing that, you know. Mm-hmm. But you know, I and that's only their side of the story. You know, I've never asked him for his side, but there's always, you know, two sides of the coin.
Yep.
But anyway, like I said, man, it was good having you. Appreciate it. We'll get you out of here. Maybe, like I said, I look forward to maybe seeing you doing like a cooking show.
Hopefully. I'll give it a shot.
What were you making tonight, by the way? What was that?
Just spaghetti with homemade sauce.
How did that sauce turn out?
Oh, it was pretty awesome. A little bit, there was I scorched my meatballs. Okay. So that added a little bit of a carbon taste to the sauce, but otherwise, the sauce itself, before I added the meat in it, was very good.
Yeah, sounds good. You make me hungry. My stomach ache finally went away, so maybe I'm going to go get some dinner now. So, but anyway, man, again, for the final time, thanks for coming on. I appreciate it. And guys, you know, thank you for watching. If you're watching on YouTube, please go ahead and, you know, subscribe. Lycan, do you want to give a shout out? Where can these guys follow you at, like on Twitter, or where would you like them to reach out to you?
You can follow me at LycanGTV on Twitter. YouTube is the same, youtube.com/LycanGTV. And just thank you everyone who's ever, you know, tuned into my content, whether it was the Lycan League on Base Trade TV or the late game on my channel. It's always been appreciated. Thank you very much.
Yeah, definitely. And then, you guys, as you know, you can follow me at Dank Shrine. on Twitter, on Twitch. If you're watching on Twitch, hit that follow button. It does help. And then on YouTube, hit that subscribe, like, and comment buttons. Do all that kind of stuff because it really does help. The more people we get to watch, the more content we can make because more people enjoy it. So it just makes it much easier for everyone to make the content and enjoy it. But yeah, till next week, or actually till tomorrow, I guess, because we have a Dank Shrine episode tomorrow. But yeah, we'll see you guys then. Take care.
Bye.